Let's begin with the latest on the Ukrainian airline tragedy in Iran. Some Western countries now believe the aircraft that crashed shortly after takeoff on Wednesday was downed by a missile. U.S. officials say satellite data suggests that the Boeing 737 jet was hit by an Iranian missile system. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whose country lost 63 citizens in the tragedy, says there is a likely suspect.
We have intelligence from multiple sources, including our allies and our own intelligence. The evidence indicates that the plane was shot down by an Iranian surface-to-air missile.
Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison says his country received similar intelligence. He notes, however, that this does not suggest an intentional act.
All of that intelligence as presented to us today does not suggest an intentional act, and that is the basis of information that has supported the comments I have made today.
Iran's Civil Aviation Department has rejected the accusing statements. He says various countries have been invited to join in the investigation.
هماهنگی کامل بین پدافند و سیستم غیر نظامی هست. همونطور که اشاره کردم بر اساس مقررات از این هماهنگی وجود داره. یعنی اصلا جایی که پرسنل کشوری نشستن در کنارشون پرسنل پدافندی هستن. امکان نداره همچین اتفاقی بیفته.
The crash follows Iranian missile strikes against two military bases in Iraq, retaliation for the U.S. killing of its top military commander Qasem Soleimani. U.S. President Donald Trump, who just kicked off his re-election campaign, made a fresh defense of the assassination.
Soleimani was actively planning new attacks, and he was looking very seriously at our embassies, and not just the embassy in Baghdad. But we stopped him, and we stopped him quickly, and we stopped him cold.
Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, disagreed.
I do not believe, in terms of what is in the public domain, that they have made the country safer by what they did. And that is what our responsibility is.
The Democrat-controlled House on Thursday passed a resolution that would require Trump to consult Congress before taking further action against Iran. Despite easing tensions, the Philippine government remains bent on evacuating Filipino workers from the Middle East. Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles says the mandatory repatriation of workers in Iraq still stands. Deployment of workers to the Gulf state remains prohibited as well. Additional modes of transportation will also be chartered to aid evacuation.
Meron naman tayong sarili nating government assets, gagamitin natin yun kasi nandiyan naman yan eh. Pangalawa was to charter a cruise ship kasi ang cruise ship mas malaki ang ma-accommodate kaysa sa aeroplano.
The deployment of military personnel to the Middle East will also still push through. This would include the sending of 2 battalions from the Army and the Marines. This move was questioned by Migrante International, calling it a militarization of evacuation efforts, which they say is detrimental to the safety of Filipinos. The Defense Department says soldiers will only assist humanitarian operations. Meanwhile, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, along with the country's major airlines, pledged to assist in the evacuation of OFWs from the troubled region. Cebu Pacific and Philippine Airlines agreed to accommodate stranded Filipinos in any of their Middle East flights for free, while AirAsia will provide free flights to repatriated Filipinos back to their respective provinces.